Well, you want to be a rock star in the kitchen. You want to cook something that's gonna disappear within minutes. At your worst case, maybe a day. Well, let's do some gluten-free carrot cake. This stuff is so tasty and simple to do. You're gonna love it. It's obviously I'm going to try to do it as with minimal sugar, so I won't be using any real sugar in this cake, but you'll still taste very good anyway. Not a huge deal. So I'm replacing the sugar with some stevia, and then I'm going to be using some crushed almond. The crushed almond, you can crush them up a bit more if you want. That's no big deal. On top of that, another very simple. I'm going to use some table salt. Quarter a spoon, and then half a spoon of baking powder. You'll see the ingredients throughout. They're fairly simple, and it's going to go fairly quick, and then you'll have no problem. So the baking powder, another tablespoon of that. For all the wet or the dry ingredients, mix them all up together. Mix the dry first or mix the wet first. It's really up to you on what you want to do. For the flour itself, I'm using a gluten-free oat flour. The difference between the gluten-free oat flour and the standard flour is obviously the gluten-free flour is a bit harder to mix and harder to work with because there's no gluten, so there's really no bounding agent into it, so it's a bit harder to work with. But once you get used to it, you'll get used to it, and then the taste in this carrot cake, it doesn't really make a difference if it's gluten-free flour or not. But you know, they'll limit the amount of gluten. If you're allergic to gluten, well, then use a gluten-free flour. So that was 2 cups. I'm using some raisin, dry raisin. I'm using in this case basically 1 cup. You can be generous depending on if you like it or not. You already have the almond, you got the raisin, you have a few things in there for taste. So I'm using a cup of each. Keep it simple. For the carrots itself, I'm fairly generous on the amount of carrots that I put into it. I love the taste of it, so you could do with 2 cups. I'm actually going with almost 3.5 cups of carrot, and then that's what I'll put in. I love the carrots. I love the taste of this cake too. It's absolutely awesome. You know, with cake, it's the funniest thing is I'm not too big into bakery, and I really don't like eating any dessert because I'm trying to cut 100% of the sugar that I eat because of my training and working out. But this cake it becomes a magician because it disappears so quick, and then it's fairly hard to keep in the fridge itself. Even Jake, my dog, just can't wait for that cake to be done because he wants a piece of it. Obviously, you won't get any. And this one, I'm using 4 eggs. The amount of eggs is quite important, so you do use 4 eggs. And then for the oil itself, I'm using coconut oil. I'm using 1 cup of coconut oil. That's what the part of it that's different than most of the cake. And then the carrots, so like I said, you can be very generous with the carrots and mix all that together. Depending if you want, if it's easier for you to mix the dry with the dry and the wet with the wet, it doesn't really matter. It's not that big. This will fit in a 9x9 pan, or you know, at the worst 12x12, but that's going to get a bit bigger. And then I'm looking at a cake that's going to be about 1.5 inch to 2 inch thick. Because there's no gluten flour in it, it will not rise that much. So whatever size it's in, rise maybe 1/2 inch. For the bottom of your bowl, just make sure I'm using coconut oil again. I'm just spreading it all down. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to take it out in one piece at the end. So put it down at the bottom of your pan so it's easy to remove. Worse, if you want to do, you can put some wax paper underneath. That also makes it really easy to remove when it's cooked. And then for the cooking time itself, you just got to be real careful. Not all stoves are the same, so obviously you probably know your stove better than I do. For mine, I'm going at 350 for 40 minutes. This will do the trick. For the icings, I'm not too big into icing. You can eat that cake, you know, with no icing at all. It's going to be awesome. If you're really big into icing, obviously I don't control because I'm not the boss of my place. So so the partner says that we're going to do icing. One LT icing, I'm using icing sugar. I'm using some unsalted butter, vanilla extract. I'm going to be using some almond milk for the icing. A couple of tablespoons. I'll have all the ingredients in the recipe below, and then I'm going to be using some cream cheese. You can eat that cake without any icing, obviously, but if your partner is right into icing, that's probably the easiest and the most healthiest icing that you can do, and then you can do this one. For the actual cheese, if you warm it up a bit, it's a lot easier to work with. For the Philly cheese, if it's a lot easier to mix, and then you mix all that up, and just as long as it comes into a nice liquid paste, then it's going to be a lot easier to do. And then when it's done, you're going to be good to go. So you're going to make sure the consistency of it, you see, once you're done, it should be this type of liquid, so it makes it easy for you to do. And then same thing when you get your carrot cake. If you've done a good job on putting coconut oil at the bottom of your pan, it should be easy to take it out of the mold, and then that makes it your life easier. Hope you guys enjoy this carrot cake, and hopefully you will comment for more recipes. Thanks.